it's Kris.
And I'm Wyatt Elliott from Notebook Entertainment.
And you're watching Pop Culture News. Name subject to change if we come up with a better one.
And welcome to our brand new set.
Yep.
It's virtual. So please forgive us for any little issues with the green screen or whatever.
Still figuring
We're practicing it. We got all new equipment. We may need more.
This is new to us, so
yes,
we're figuring it out.
But thank you for your patience. Let's get on with the news.
All right, so the majority of our show today is going to be us talking about the whole DC WB Discovery fiasco.
The clusterfuck? Yes.
But we've got a few other things we want to discuss first, so stay tuned for that, but let's talk about some other stuff. So, news. The Drago spinoff of Rocky may already be dead in the water.
Oh, boy.
So last week, news was leaked of a spin-off series featuring Drago's son, and Sly Stallone went nuts, y'all. Like, maybe rightfully so.
Maybe.
Let's see. So here's some backstory. Stallone doesn't own not 1% of the rights to Rocky, despite being its writer and creator.
Which is not unusual in Hollywood.
Exactly, and my understanding of it was that was how he was able to get it made in the first place. Was he had to sell off, his creative control or whatever, in order to get to star in it as well.
Because he was a nobody at the time.
Back in 1985, right before Rocky IV came out, Stallone did go to the producers about it. He claims that he brought up licensing deals to the studio and said, "Does it bother you guys that I've written every word, I've choreographed it, I've been loyal to you, I've promoted it, directed it, and I don't have 1% that I could leave for my children, only to be told, you got paid, and that was the end of the conversation." Which, I mean, fair point. You did get paid, and if you wanted to keep creative control, you should have written that into your original contract. Or when you contracted for the sequel, or the third one. Why are you waiting till the fourth one to bring it up to them?
It's like, I do feel for him. I do. I mean, I understand as a creator, you want, that to hand down to your kids. You want it because you just want it. It's like Taylor Swift with her songs. Fuck you. These are mine. However, she had to re-record her songs.
I mean, if he wants to redo the entire Rocky series,
he had
just
to
call
change
it something else.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the issue. And I do realize music is different than movies. Completely different.
And it's a completely different situation where he knew what he was signing away and all that. And
it's also a different era. Like in the 70s, I'm sure contracts were different than they are now. Like now there's a lot more of, especially if you have some leeway and some power and negotiation skills, you can work all that in your contract. Back then, he was just glad to get it made.
Exactly. He did, and I'm sure he wanted it to, but I'm sure he didn't know that it was going to blow up to be the Rocky franchise.
Exactly.
So let's get to last week. Stallone made a series of social media posts, some of which have been deleted. So here's all the ones I was able to gather. Quote, "Another heartbreaker. Just found this out. Once again, the pathetic 94-year-old producer and his moronic, useless vulture children, Charles and David, are once again picking clean the bones of another wonderful character I created without even telling me." He added, "I apologize to the fans. I never wanted Rocky characters to be exploited by these parasites. By the way, I have nothing but respect for Dolph, but I wish he had told me what was going on behind my back. Keep your real friends close. After Irwin controlling Rocky for over 47 years and now Creed, I really would like to have at least a little of what's left of my rights back before passing it on to only your children. I believe that would be a fair gesture from this 93-year-old gentleman. This is a painful subject that eats at my soul because I wanted to leave something of Rocky for my children, but it's always great hearing from the loyal fans. Keep punching." Now, Stallone seemed angriest at producer Irwin Winkler, but he also mentioned co-star Dolph Lundgren. Dolph has since replied on Instagram, and here's what he said. "Just to set the record straight regarding a possible Drago spinoff, there is no approved script, no deals in place, no director, and I was personally under the impression that my friend Sly Stallone was involved as a producer or even as an actor. There was a press leak last week, which was unfortunate. in touch with Mr. Balboa just so all the fans can relax. There you go.
I can understand, because if I was Dolph, and I got a call from the producer, being that Stallone was involved with Creed 1 and 2, and I understand 3, I would assume, well, yeah, my buddy's involved in it too, because Dolph is not a producer. Dolph is an actor and an action star.
Yeah, and he's probably just happy to get the call.
Exactly, and so I hope that this works out, because if they want him, I'll be transparent, guys. I'm not invested in Rocky at all. I appreciate a couple of the movies. I've seen them all, a lot of them when I was a kid. But the ones I've seen as an adult is one, the newest one, just called Rocky Balboa, and then I saw the original Creed. And I do like those movies. They are good. They're not my favorites. I'm not a sports film guy.
Same.
But I know there's a lot of fans of this. And so if Drago works and they want to make a serious film like they did with Creed out of it, I think that'd be great for Dolph. It'd be fantastic for him, because he's basically, besides The Expendables, has had a career of direct-to-video movies like Kindergarten Cop 2.
I just realized I said Drago, because Draco Malfoy.
Oh, I know you did.
Instead of Drago. I knew it was Drago too, and I said Drago.
To be fair, I didn't correct you, because to be fair, a lot of people pronounce it Drago.
But I don't know, I think I was Draco
Drago,
Malfoy, so I was Drago.
Forgive her, guys.
It's fine.
Forgive her.
I don't speak words good,
When's the last time you watched a Rocky movie, especially involving
Me,
Drago?
personally, over 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is unfortunate, but I also see it as, it's Hollywood. It's the way the business is, and I mean, Stallone, you should know this by now.
Right.
Now, I think what he could be doing too is he's trying to pull off the fans' sympathy, and he wants the fans to demand that they give it to him and all this kind of stuff. But I'm not hearing a lot of outcry from the fans.
He doesn't have the following that someone like Taylor Swift has that can get their fans mobilized.
No, Stallone's fans aren't on the internet to mobilize.
And his fans drop off as he says and does more stupid things as he gets older too. So
I grew up loving Stallone and Schwarzenegger, and back in the day, those were the two biggest movie stars in the world, and I loved action movies and everything, and he inspired my very first film. There's a part of me that loves Stallone for that, even though he really had nothing to do with it. I want him to have what he deserves and everything, but I also understand the contracts, and he was paid for it for all those movies, and
I'm sure he's been paid for every role he's had and everything.
Yeah, and he's won Academy Awards, he's won all kinds of things. So
you're not gonna. It's your legacy, but you don't have anything to hand down to your kids. That's kind of your fault. Sorry, not sorry.
And here's the other thing: is do you own Rambo? Why isn't Rambo a thing for you? He's just as iconic you.
They're not trying to make another Rambo right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he does own. I don't think he does, but yeah, So I don't know. My thing is in an ideal world, everybody would own their own rights to everything.
But that's not how it works, and that's not how you get movies made. It just isn't. Sometimes you have to compromise, and it sucks for the creators. Yeah, but until it changes, that's just how it is.
Yeah,
I'd like it to change, but. All right, let's move on to something a little more fun and upbeat. So, I don't know how many in our audience remembers the 80s.
A little bit.
Or Max Headroom.
I do remember that.
Okay, so SpectreVision, which is the Elijah Wood, Daniel Noah film company, they did Mandy and Color Out of Space. They're bringing a new reboot series of Max Headroom. Matt Frewer will be back playing Max Headroom. Yup.
Oh, no kidding.
Now for our younger viewers, Max Headroom was, quote, the world's first artificial intelligent TV personality.
Yeah.
So Deadline, their description of it, so this is Deadline, known for biting commentary, quick wit, and manic glitching, the supposedly computer-generated TV host played by Frewer was first introduced in the 1985 British cyberpunk TV movie Max Headroom 20 Minutes into the Future. He became an instant pop culture phenom and went on to host a music video show, star in ads for New Coke, appear on the cover of Newsweek, and headline his own primetime series, Max Headroom, which aired on ABC for 2 seasons from 1987 to 88. And most recently, he was in the 2015 film Pixels. Which I didn't see,
yes,
so I don't know.
I did see it. I don't remember.
I didn't see it because that whole movie is a ripoff of the Futurama episode.
And it's not done as well. I was so disappointed.
Futurama did it better.
I love, obviously, classic video games. And so I was there first thing to see that movie in theaters. Okay, I love classic video games. I love some Adam Sandler movies. So it was a mixed bag. And it was terrible. It was just so bad. I do kind of remember Max Headroom being in it, but not enough to oh my God, of course.
Didn't Diggum turn into a hot girl at the end or whatever?
Oh, not Diggum, but
who
Cubert.
was it? Cubert.
Yeah, it was so. He married Cubert at the what?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's so stupid. I don't remember. I remember Max Headroom as a pop culture thing when I was a kid, a little kid. I do remember him advertising for Coke, which now that you remind me, it was New Coke.
Yeah, it was New Coke.
I never saw his show, but I remember hearing about that he hosted music video stuff. So I never saw the movie. My mom had a ventriloquist puppet of him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing, actually.
I hope I can find that. It might be in the garage somewhere.
But
she did, and
awesome.
we loved that as a kid. We used to play with it all the time. So maybe we destroyed it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was born in 1985, so I don't remember it, but I learned about it through pop culture, and I think MTV did, they talked about him or did a special or something about him.
Oh, yeah, I've seen documentaries on him since.
Or VH1, or one of those that I used to watch back in the 90s. So.
Yeah, I've learned more.
I've known about Max Headroom, it feels like my whole life.
Yeah, and for me, there was a YouTube documentary I found on him or maybe it was a TV one, I don't remember, but I watched that told the story, and I didn't know half of it. But I do remember in the 90s, Matt Fuhrer was on a show called Dr. Doctor that I really liked. It was really funny. And so Matt Fuhrer is a funny guy.
Right.
I've seen him in other movies and stuff. So I feel like he's got to be super old now, though.
Well, the makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
If he can still do the character.
If he can do it, I was a little worried they were recasting, honestly. I assumed that they would. So the fact that they are bringing Matt Fuhrer back, that does sound pretty cool. I mean, it's going to be bizarre, but cool. I always saw Matt Fuhrer as the Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey.
Before there was Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Or Tom Green, but a successful Tom Green. Better at it than Tom Green.
Yeah.
Not as needy as Tom Green.
No, but Matt Fuhrer's humor and his lanky body and everything, he could have been a Jim Carrey.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
All right, so moving on. Amazon has announced a Roadhouse remake with Jake Gyllenhaal playing Patrick Swayze's part.
Yeah.
Roadhouse.
I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not a Roadhouse fan.
No one's a fan. We don't watch that movie because it's a good movie.
But
it's a cult movie because it's so bad it's good.
Here's my thing about Roadhouse and any cult movie you try to remake. You're not going to establish that cult thing again. So you either got to take the idea and make it serious,
which I don't think so,
or a comedy.
Help! Somebody! These drunk redneck truckers are trying to have their way with me!
Not while my scrotum is pressed up against my stomach in these jeans, they won't. Roadhouse.
So I don't know what route they're going, but I hear he's going to be playing an ex-UFC fighter in this one.
That's exactly what it is. A former UFC fighter working as a bouncer at a grimy roadhouse in the Florida Keys, which the original was in Missouri.
There you go, yeah.
Which already makes it a different movie, because those are two completely different settings.
Completely different.
They're both in the South, but still, Missouri is different than parts of Florida.
Correct. Wow.
So I said parts of Florida.
Right, fair.
Where he soon uncovers mysterious happenings that set him on a wild journey through the tropical locale. And it begins filming in the Dominican Republic this month.
Also, I hear they hired Conor McGregor to be in it, and that's got a lot of people talking because he's not an actor. And it's and apparently he's not playing himself. Because the UFC fight thing, we're well, maybe he's just playing himself.
Isn't he known as, kind of an asshole?
Oh,
isn't he, the biggest dick of UFC or something like that?
Yeah, he's one of those showmen and he starts fights everywhere he goes. But
the thing is I don't think Roadhouse works currently. It's a movie of its time. You need the
Right.
context of when it was made to make that movie work, and the context now is different than
No.
the context then.
I feel like we said this off camera, but it reminds me of the Point Break
Yep.
remake, where
It worked when it was
back in the 80s,
Yep.
it worked. Because remember, in the 80s, it was all about cop buddy movies. It was all about guy bromances, basically.
And honestly, the way people looked at police, the way people looked at all that stuff is
Was
different than it is now.
Than it is now, exactly. That's why, you know, it was surprising that Bad Boys for Life worked. But I think that has more to do with the nostalgia
stars.
and the stars and everything. Lethal Weapon 5, I really don't think
it's going to work. Yeah.
You're not going to see Tango and Cash 2
Right.
and all these movies that were big in the 80s because you're right, it was a different time.
Different content. And I said the same thing. That's why the new Matrix movie failed, because Matrix is another one of those movies where it was of its time.
Yeah, it really was.
And times are different now than they were in the late 90s.
I think one of the big differences is gun idolization in Hollywood is kind of dead.
Yeah.
You know, like The Matrix was about leather and guns and shooting as many bullets as you possibly can.
Which was an aesthetic in the 90s.
It was. Now, if you notice in the new one, he was doing a lot more kung fu and pushing and kind of like he was like a Jedi or something. Which I hear was intentional. I wish people would ask themselves this when they go to remake a franchise. Who are you making this movie
Right.
for?
That's the important question. Who wants this Roadhouse movie?
Right.
Who?
Because, okay, let's just say you're going to appeal to Roadhouse fans. Okay, Roadhouse fans are either going to be older now, and they like the original one. They don't want to see a new movie without Patrick Swayze and stuff.
Or they're not even fans of Roadhouse. They're fans of Family Guy
Yes.
and how Family Guy has turned it into a joke.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I knew you were.
Yep.
I knew it.
Roadhouse.
That's so.
Because that's why we like it.
Yes, so that's why you either take it. I think the best way to do a Roadhouse, which Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't think that they're doing it this way, is to make it a comedy like Baywatch and 21 Jump Street.
Plus, Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't have the same type of charisma that Patrick Swayze did. I'm not gonna believe if this kid throws a roundhouse kick or whatever. I'm just not gonna believe it.
And I like Jake Gyllenhaal.
I do too. I mean, some movies can't be saved.
No.
But they'll release Ambulance, but not Batgirl. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to
that. First, let's get to Marvel.
Yes.
So, did Patton Oswalt accidentally reveal that Eternals 2 is coming?
I think he did.
Oh my god. Oops, he's getting fired.
I love Patton Oswalt.
They're going to have to start sending Benedict Cumberbatch again too, the way they did with Tom Holland.
Just tape his mouth shut.
So, while speaking to Al Roker on the Today Show, Patton Oswalt said, quote, "They have announced there's going to be an Eternals sequel. Chloe Zhao is going to direct it, so hopefully there will be more adventures of Star Fox and Pip." Now, is it really happening? Maybe.
Well,
there were reports that Chloe Zhao had a strained relationship with Marvel after the first one. But I don't care how you feel about the plot. Personally, I love the movie.
I did too. I loved it.
But I don't care what you feel about the plot one way or the other. There's no debate that she made a beautiful film. Like, that movie is gorgeous.
And my guess is that if she had any kind of dissatisfaction with Marvel, it was somebody in the Disney producer above that. Kevin Feige has said nothing but wonderful.
Yeah.
He loves
He
it.
likes it.
He loves what she did with that movie. So I don't think it's coming from Feige for sure. I think that I believe when they say that if they are going to do another one, that she is re-signed on to do it because I think he has faith in her.
I do too. And again, the film was just gorgeous. Which that's what you needed, was that kind of eye to capture eons of time.
And some people are like, well, it didn't feel like a Marvel movie, but then you
How
complain
does it
when they
need
do
to?
feel
Right.
like Marvel
Then it's
movies.
like, oh, they're all cookie cutter the same, and then they
Yep.
do something outside the box, and they're like, we hate it. Like,
Every
you
time
can't win.
Doctor Strange, they decide to make a little more horror and everything.
Loved it.
And I loved it.
Loved it.
But some people, but
They
then
can
guess what?
kiss
Online,
my
all
big
the
ass.
footage is out there. Everything's leaked. Everything, like there's constantly fan videos made of it. The Wanda Wanda
Anything,
stands,
right? Anything
like,
you put Wanda in, I'm gonna love.
I don't know. I guess I would be called a Marvel fanboy, but I loved Eternals.
I'm a Marvel fanboy.
There was a lot of leaks too coming out of their copyright of titles, and one of them it wasn't Eternals 2. They were calling it Celestials and then a subtitle.
Yeah.
I can't think what it was.
Which obviously tied.
Obviously.
Like,
But that could be Marvel going, okay, Eternals didn't work. We're going to keep the same thing and keep the plan, but now we're going to call it Celestials and try to, rebrand it.
Right.
Is what I see that they're going to do.
I still don't know why it didn't work. I think it was a good movie. I thought the characters were good. Yeah, it had to move a little quicker, but that's because they had to cover thousands of years, guys.
I think for doing that, they did it very well. The movie wasn't 6 hours long. Yeah, they were characters I didn't know, but I learned the new characters.
Yeah, you just get new characters. That's not a bad thing.
I don't know who this Starfire guy is or whatever.
But
his
he's
name
Harry
is.
Styles. So I'm down.
And Patton Oswalt's his troll buddy. So,
Right.
oh, cool.
Instantly down. Let's do a buddy cop movie. I'm down.
For real.
All right, so, excuse me. On the bad side of Marvel, they continue to fuck over visual effects artists. Guys, just film on location, Marvel. If the problem is that they give these VFX artists impossible time frames, and not only do they have to create all the creatures and all the magic and stuff that happens, they have to create the fucking backgrounds because Marvel just won't go film at the Forest of Endor. I don't get it.
And apparently,
and the thing is, the problem is not just the rapid fire pace. If these visual effects companies can't keep up, they then get blacklisted by Marvel, by Disney, by all these Fox, by all these big companies that use them, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And honestly, I don't know why Marvel is getting attacked on this.
Because they're the biggest ones.
They are, but everybody.
It's everybody.
Every visual effects company has come out and said, look, we can't keep up with, there's not enough artists, there's not enough people to do this. It used to be there was ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, and then Peter Jackson's company, Weta, came about, and there was a bunch of small ones, but now there's so many because they can't keep up with it all. So it used to be a niche talent, and now it's every single movie needs
guys, if you want a career, go to school for graphic arts.
And I don't know who made the decision, because this all came about with Thor Love and Thunder, because Taika Waititi decided to use the Mandalorian effect studio, which is awesome, but you know what that was designed for? It was designed for small TV shows in order to keep their budget low. Because you can't make a Star Wars movie with all the extravagant sets and everything on a weekly basis without keeping your budget low. And they came out with this brilliant technology which looks great. But it doesn't need to be used for Marvel movies.
Right.
My guess, because they didn't do it before, so my guess is this was a test. And maybe Taika Waititi was I want to use the latest technology and blah, 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 blah. But you don't need to use it for every scene.
So basically it comes down to pay your visual effects people more and give them a little more time.
Yeah.
And guys, again, if you want to be guaranteed a job in Hollywood, go to school for graphic effects and visual arts.
Yep. Animation, all that stuff, exactly, because that's...
You will be guaranteed a job.
Yeah, someone will use you for sure.
All right, so let's move on from Marvel to DC. First, the only good DC news, guys. Sandman is out and it's on Netflix. Go watch it. Go watch it. Make it a hit. Because Netflix apparently needs billions of people to watch it in order for it to not get canceled. Just having a general audience isn't enough.
No.
They'll cancel anything. God, fuck you, Netflix. But seriously, go watch Sandman if you have no idea what it's about. I'm sure I haven't watched the first one yet, but I'm sure. It'll be fine. It'll explain itself. But if you haven't, read the graphic novels. They're amazing. Blah, blah, blah. That's my piece. That's the only good DC news I can find.
I'm going to watch it. I've been hearing about it so much from her for years, so I cannot wait to check it out.
All right. So now on to the mess. So the DCEU is spinning into a nosedive right along with Warner Brothers. And we can't really talk about DC without talking about Warner Brothers because it's the same people fucking up both. Let's start with how did we get here? So the AT&T guys bought out Warner Brothers and they got rid of most of the studio execs while keeping their AT&T execs. You know, the people who know nothing about putting movies out or how a studio runs. Let's get rid of the people who know what they're doing and keep our guys. Already great decision making. Eventually they've been bought out by Discovery. So that's where we are now. And David Zaslav is the new CEO of HBO, Discovery, Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and he was the CEO of Discovery, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
So he now is in charge of it all. Yeah. The first thing he does is cancel Batgirl, which... it was almost finished. It came with a 90 million price tag.
Yep.
And honestly, what they're claiming happened is that executives saw a draft of the movie, a rough cut, and didn't like it. Rough cuts are usually just like dailies thrown together, guys. It's barely edited. There's no color correction. There's no special effects. It's going to look horrible. If these execs don't know or aren't creative enough to see beyond the rough cut, then yeah, it's gonna look like a horrible fucking movie. Yeah. Now, it may be a bad movie. It may. We don't know. We'll never know. But to look at a rough cut of an almost finished movie and then shelve it for tax purposes, that's fucked up to the entire cast and crew of that movie. And not only that, you're letting Amber Heard keep her role. Rumor is that it's now down to like 2 minutes. Still 2 minutes too many. Nobody's going to see your fucking movie. So they keep Amber Heard. They keep Ezra Miller, who's terrorized Hawaii and has now allegedly kidnapped somebody or is starting a cult or whatever else there rumored reports about him. They're all fine, but we're going to get rid of the movie with the Latino lead who has caused no problems. We're going to get rid of the movie that everyone was excited that had Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. We're going to get rid of the movie that everyone was excited was going to be the renaissance of Brendan Fraser's career. What are they thinking? I don't care if this was a bad movie. I guarantee women and young girls would have watched it on HBOMax. It didn't need a theatrical release. And the fact that they want to focus on big theatrical releases because they think they can be Marvel, shut the fuck up. That's my rant.
Well said.
I'm so mad. I wanted Batgirl. I wanted to see Batgirl. I wanted Brendan Fraser.
I don't have a lot to add to that because you're right. But I will say I will say a couple things that I have heard or read. One, did you know that the directors heard about the cancellation and he was at his wedding? One of the directors was getting married, and that's how he heard at his wedding. Oh,
get this. Kevin Feige reached out to them because Hollywood can't fucking believe what this guy's doing. Right. Like, insider, they don't know what...
This is unheard of for Hollywood. Hollywood has contracts. When you sign them, the movie has to get released. Remember when Disney took over Fox, they had to release The New Mutants. Sure, they delayed it. They postponed it. They did everything they could. But ultimately, in the end, even Feige understood it has to come out. And he just said, it's not part of our universe, but here it is. Sure, and it made a little bit of money, but it bombed because nobody cares. There's no investment to go see it. But this guy, and Warner Bros. In general, for years now, has just thrown the book out. I don't remember the guy's name, but one of their executives of HBOMax was the genius who decided to put all their 2020 slate movies on the HBOMax. Burning everything, all their contracts to the ground, causing them to pay out millions of dollars in settlements to producers, to actors, to everybody who had contracts behind the scenes, because they get money they get back-end money, they get, if it reaches a certain amount of box office money.
You're telling me it was cheaper to do that than to pay for a little bit more for reshoots or whatever it needed?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know that they're doing that with Batgirl. Nobody has said anything about anybody getting anything from Batgirl.
But Adil El Arbi, which I'm sorry, I know that's probably not how your name is said. He received an email from Kevin Feige. It was sent to him and Bilal Fallah, which they're the directors of Batgirl. They also worked on Ms. Marvel.
They also directed the wonderful that everybody loved, Bad Boys for Life.
But I'm talking about how they're affected by, or how they're connected to Marvel. Okay. They did Miss Marvel.
They did, yes.
So Kevin Feige sent them an email right after the news broke that said, "My friends, I had to reach out and let you know we were all thinking about you both. Because of the wonderful news about the wedding, congrats, and the disappointing news about Batgirl. Very proud of you guys for all the amazing work you do, and particularly Miss Marvel, of course. Can't wait to see what is next for you. Hope to see you soon." So... And it's my understanding that James Gunn has also reached out to them, and a couple other studios have reached out to them.
I'll bet they have. Marvel better sign them, because obviously they can produce a big budget movie, and I liked Ms. Marvel. I thought Ms. Marvel was clever, it was cute, it was funny, and it was educational because I learned a lot about Pakistan.
Honestly,
I thought they did that's why it's hard to believe that Batgirl is as bad as they say it is.
I don't believe it. I believe the costumes are kind of bad, but looking at some of the comics and stuff, it's kind of comic accurate to what they're doing in the comics now.
Right, because what I remember of Batgirl is she's supposed to be
Barbara Gordon.
Barbara Gordon, and she's doing it on her own. She doesn't have the money Bruce Wayne does. Bruce Wayne isn't funding her, and the way I understand it was this storyline was going to kind of mix Batman Beyond, where Batman's older, there's some new young person out there, and now he's going to mentor them.
And that's why they had Michael Keaton.
Yep.
And Brendan Fraser was going to play the bad guy, you guys.
So maybe in the
mad.
next Batgirl movie, her costume would have been upgraded. Maybe she would have looked, whatever.
Think the very first Spider-Man Homecoming.
Right.
Where he's got the sweatshirt and
That's
shit.
part of the plot. Now, it's either that or, because I thought it looked good, but I thought it looked kind of CW-ish, it wasn't a bad costume. It reminded me of the superhero costumes in the 90s, Wasn't bad, or the CW costumes.
Right.
A picture leaked out, the director shared on Twitter today, of him, one of the directors standing with her in costume and Michael Keaton in costume. Lighting wasn't great, but the internet has already lit it up better and showed. I mean, it's a profile of Batman, but it looks like Batman. I don't think it looks terrible. The one thing I think is complicated was they were using J.K. Simmons as Gordon and not the guy from the new Batman movie. I can't think of his name right now. But, so that means that's the only, that ties it to Justice League. And that's the only thing that I think was kind of dumb, because I think they should get rid of that universe. But J.K. Simmons is awesome, so maybe they could keep him. Why not? You just reboot him.
My problem is they're not Marvel. They don't know or can't come up with these creative things that Marvel does to make things fit. And so they're just like, fuck it, we'll give up. Every single time. It's fuck it, we give up. We'll start over.
What Zaslav is trying to say, and I don't know if I believe him or not, but what he's trying to say is that they have a 10-year plan now for Disney. Yeah, I don't believe this either, because who's in charge?
Exactly. I don't believe it at all.
He's claiming that they have a 10-year plan. Batgirl didn't fit into that plan and wasn't worth salvaging it was what they call it. They said it was unwatchable.
I don't believe that.
Unsavable.
I believe they watched a rough cut and aren't creative enough to see beyond a rough cut.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, well, this is shit.
I don't understand why they
Everything's shit when it's a rough cut.
Right, and the fact if the guy was off at his wedding, that means the production was probably on hold until he came back, and then, so they did this under his nose. Mm-hmm. And that's bullshit.
It is. It is major bullshit.
So, what I've heard is what Zaslav has done is he went to you guys may know the name Alan Horn, and he used to run Disney a long time ago. He was the one who put Bob Iger in charge of things. He was the one who was there when Bob Iger started the Marvel and started the Star Wars. One went well, one did not. So they drugged this guy out of retirement. Who knows how much money they're paying him, but he's like 80 or something now. And they drug him out of retirement to have him run DC, is what he's saying.
I don't believe it.
Here's my thought on that. He's a businessman. He's not a fanboy. And you can't tell me he's a fanboy. If he's a fanboy, he's fanboy of probably 89 Batman and the old stuff.
Yep.
He doesn't understand what the climate is now. So I don't see how Alan Horn is going to be able to fix DC.
He's not. They need a fanboy. They need a Kevin Feige. I saw someone tweet out, I don't remember who, so I'm sorry I can't credit them, but I saw someone tweet out, they were like, Kevin Feige really started Marvel with nothing more than a hat, a script, and Iron Man. And he really made it.
And you've brought this point up a lot. Now, I realize he had to. But still, Marvel started out with the B characters because everybody else was copyrighted and sold everywhere. And then he still was able to build that up and do something amazing. And now, 15 years later, definitely over 10 years later, we're just now getting some of these characters
Bigger
that we
characters,
love.
Yep.
Instead of, and what is Alan Horn and this guy now saying?
We'll make another Superman movie.
No, it's true. That's what they're going to focus on. They want to focus on Superman, Wonder Woman, and
Superman
Batman
is the
and
most
Aquaman.
boring. Sorry, another rant. Superman is the most boring superhero that was ever fucking created. I hate every single Superman movie I've ever seen. I've seen them all. They all suck because they're all the same. He's so boring. He's so boring. This guy, just so boring. There's no way, unless you've got kryptonite, and even then you're not gonna get it because he could just fly around the planet or throw his ass at you or something. It's so fucking stupid. I hate and he's got no character behind him. He's just a goody two shoe. Like there's nothing behind his character. Like Batman is the superior, and if they get rid of Matt Reeves' Batman cinematic universe or whatever he's trying to start, I'm rioting.
Well, that's definitely not the plan, especially with them pushing forward with Joker, which is also not related. But
I didn't like the Joker movie.
I liked it, but I've only seen it the once. Like, it was fine. I'm curious about this musical with Lady Gaga. I think that's just amazing. So yeah, I'll be watching that. I mean, I gotta say, kudos to Warner Bros. For greenlighting such a weird idea.
Right.
And to give credit, way back in the 90s, they did the same thing with Joe Dante with Gremlins. They wanted a sequel, and Joe Dante's like, well, I don't want to do a sequel unless
I can do whatever I want.
Right, and he wanted to make a farce. So, and being that it is the same, Joaquin Phoenix is coming back, and they already got the same director, Todd Phillips, and adding Gaga, that does make me feel like Todd Phillips is probably like, what are you
I'm way more interested in this Joker than I was in the first one. Let
me
tell you.
This is going to be amazing.
I'm excited.
This reminds me of the animated series. They used to have comical stuff and everything in there. So, kudos. That's amazing. I don't know where else
One amazing thing, guys. One amazing thing.
And the Batman 2, I guess, is moving forward and everything.
Well, here's this other thing. Apparently, Zaslav, because, okay, we'll get into the WB stuff now, too. Apparently, Zaslav, his whole thing for wanting to, because people were scared when Batgirl news came out and other news came out, people were terrified. Oh my God, are we losing HBO Max? Yes. Are they going to fold HBO Max?
I was.
He's come out in the call and he said that what they want to do is they want to merge it with Discovery Plus. So they'll still have HBO Max, but they'll have Discovery Plus with less focus on scripted television, which A is a mistake. We'll get into that why in a minute. But he's claimed that his reasoning is that more men watch HBO Max, more women watch Discovery, and so putting these together will have the whole audience because women don't like superhero movies.
I can't believe he said that.
Bitch, please.
Not only did he say it.
I do believe that Moon Knight's main core audience is female. I do believe that they've come out with the statistics and everything.
Yeah.
I do believe that Wonder Woman had a successful TV show and one successful movie in 2 different centuries, because fuck Wonder Woman 84.
And Captain Marvel did $1 billion at the box office. No matter what you think of that movie, it was a hit. People loved it.
I do believe Iron Man brought one of the most diverse audiences to comic book movies in a long time.
Yeah.
I do believe that women everywhere have rallied behind Scarlet Witch and her heartbreaking rage.
Yep.
I do believe that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are consistently 2 of the most popular villains for women and young women.
Yep.
And that's including Marvel characters as well for villains. I personally love the Batman movie, and again, I will riot if they cancel anything. And I do believe that young women are taken with characters like Miss Marvel, like Yelena, Nebula, Catwoman. Don't tell me that women don't like superheroes just because they don't like your shitty-ass movies. Fuck you.
I agree with that. And not only did he say it, but he had a goddamn graphic on there trying to prove his point. And, like, they're saying that this is their numbers and their statistics. Well, then you are wrong. Because, remember, you've already been infiltrated by bots. A lot of your statistics for Warner content isn't unreliable now. It's been proven it's bots.
Snyder bots.
It's been proven, it's been proven it's trolls, and they're toxic. You don't want to base your going forward on any of that data.
Get new data.
Yep, start over. Kevin Feige understands this. Kevin Feige said a year ago the future is female in Marvel, and look at what he's been producing. There's been female characters coming out of the woodworks, and guess what? We all love them. You know, even Moon Knight had a female character in that turned into a superhero.
Like I said, they dropped the statistics in watching, and the audience for Moon Knight was, I mean, it's Oscar Isaacs, but the audience for Moon Knight was majority female.
And it could be Oscar Isaac that brought that in. But you know what? There's a character that I'll bet the comics probably wasn't, because I wasn't female driven. But now you brought in an actor who's got a female base. You brought in good talent. You brought in good storylines. You brought Ethan Hawke, which killed it as the villain in that. So Feige knows what he's doing. We all know that. So the guy's already lost credibility in my book by saying any of this. By stating any of this. Because here's another problem I wanted to bring up about the way AT&T handled streaming. I found this out. They had the brilliant idea. So you have HBO, and you have HBO execs and everything in charge of creating HBO shows. I thought HBOMax was just an extension of that. Nope, they made it its own goddamn service, its own executives, its own people. So apparently HBO, because they kept saying
they're paying double, basically.
Basically, they kept saying we're canceling all the HBO Max shows. Well, then what about Barry? What about John Oliver? No, those are HBO. Huh? That's different. No, it's different. It's different. We're just gonna roll them into one. Well, where's HBO going? Well, it's still part of HBO Max.
Right.
What? And what are you doing?
They can't get rid of John Oliver. The dude wins like every fucking award.
No, what I was afraid of, the way they were talking, they were going to, HBO is going to be HBO and streaming is streaming. Well, then does that mean HBO's not on streaming anymore?
Right.
No, they're saying, oh no, it's part of it, but it's just now, it is HBO Max now. But that's what you should have done in the first place.
Why did you still have HBO if you had HBO Max, you dumbass?
All these people who were in charge of HBO for eons and knew what they were doing, every show that HBO produces is a hit or at least a critical hit. And now you're going to not let them make decisions on what is produced for HBO Max?
Because AT&T thought their guys knew better.
What?
And then the new guy, he comes in with his Discovery bullshit with Women Watch Discovery. I guarantee you it's because of ID Channel. Guarantee that's where women audiences is the ID Channel. And if you're going to make more shows like that, I mean, I am down. I am down if you're going to make more murder shows.
It's fine. Right. No one's saying you shouldn't make them at all, but for you to take Warner Brothers, who is 100 years history of scripted entertainment, and now saying you're not going to make scripted entertainment at all, at least for TV, is very short-sighted of you.
I have not seen whether or not it's official, but people are guessing that the Penguin and Arkham series are both dead in the water. Which is bullshit.
They were HBO,
I wanted those.
They were HBO Max shows, so I don't know what's happening.
Yep.
And people are also like, what happened to Blue Beetle? Because Blue Beetle...
That's another one that's on the axe that people are like, yep, it's done.
And everyone loves the behind-the-scenes stuff of it. I don't even know Blue Beetle. I'm not really a fan.
I was going to watch it, though, because I'm
because you know what happened was, before this whole thing happened, was it was a made for HBO Max. It was an HBO Max movie, just like Batgirl was. Someone looked at those dailies and said, no, this is theatrical, which is the first thing that Zaslav did. Mm-hmm. So apparently he liked that one enough, and now it's going to be theatrical, but Batgirl apparently is so worthless that we just got to crap it.
I do not fucking believe. You can't have the talent of those directors. You can't have the talent of those actors.
Right.
And then have shit. You just can't.
I mean, it's possible, but what else happened then to make it such shit?
I really think it's just that it doesn't fit into the little thing, and they felt, okay, well, we might as well get our tax break on it instead of just, we'll lose money if we put it out, but we'll get a tax break if we shelve it.
I don't think Zaslav understands, because he's already talking old school with the movie things. This modern world we live in, which I realize is only like 3 or 4 years old when it comes to streaming, but Disney understands that this is the future. We almost lost theatrical movies entirely. Mm-hmm. You know, there's monkeypox now going around, which they just...
And polio, apparently.
Really?
Yep, someone in New York has polio, but he's from an anti-vaxxer family, so I mean...
Well, okay.
Now his family, instead of saying, yeah, we were wrong about vaccines, they're saying, oh no, he doesn't have polio.
Oh. Okay. Well, that I didn't know, but I just read that they made monkeypox a national emergency.
Right.
So
they should make it sound less cute. I like monkeys.
Know, right? So the point I'm making here is we don't know what the future ever is going to be with everything going on in the world. People might not, and a lot of people I know for a fact still don't want to go to the movie theaters. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact don't want to do this, and they wait for streaming. So if you don't want to do the 45-day streaming window, that's fine. Because what he has said, he goes, Zaslav's quote is saying, why should we make HBO Max content or HBO Max movies when all we're going to do is just trickle down the theatrical movies? In theory, that makes sense. But now what about the shows that were going to expand on those movies, like the Batman ones were?
Yep, Penguin and Arkham.
Yep, Marv, do you realize how much movies Marvel is saving on by doing the backstories on TV, and now they can just put Ms. Marvel in the movies now? Mm-hmm. And whether you watched it or not, they always find a way to make it make sense.
Exactly. And that's what I've been saying Marvel should be doing for a while, and I'm glad they're finally doing it. Whereas I think the Eternals would have also benefited from having a series first and then the big movie.
Yep, and there are rumors of them doing a Eternal Celestial series.
I mean, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I liked all the characters. I did. That's everyone else's thing. The Harley Quinn cartoon is a hit.
And
everybody loves it. Are you getting rid of that too? Like, they haven't answered that. They're not answering these questions. And that's what's pissing everyone off and making them worried. And now here's the bigger point that's being made. Because they've also canceled the new Scoob movie, which Scooby-Doo has been a guaranteed hit since the 70s. Are you kidding me?
And just Scooby-Doo has been on DVD.
But it was also almost finished. It was also had a low price tag that who cares? And the animators and directors have been posting on social media. It was another sneak attack. They had no idea their movie was getting canceled. So here's the larger point that's being made is what actor or what director is going to sign up to do movies with WB as is right now, knowing that there's a chance that your hard work will get shelved.
Again, think back to what happened when they put all those movies on HBO Max. All the contracts that had to be then paid out. Millions.
I don't think we're done seeing the fallout for this Batgirl thing. And a Scoob, too, because Scoob is a multi-million-dollar franchise development thing.
I think Kevin Feige did the right thing to reach out to them and say, I will see you later, because guess what that means? Why would they go back and work for Warner Brothers?
Yep. So here's this, and this is what's circulating online. This is everything that has been canceled since this WB Discovery merger. And this is the list floating around, and this is why they're probably going to have a hard time getting A-list talent. So since they merged, CNN Plus and all of its programming, just a matter of days after its launch, Raised by Wolves from HBOMax, Close Enough, HBOMax, Gordita Chronicles, HBOMax, which that I don't know what that is, but it sounds amazing. I don't know what that is either. Made for Love, HBOMax. Chad, which is that TV show starring what's her name? Naseem Fajad, where she plays Chad. She plays the teenage kid.
I don't know about that.
Oh. Yeah, it had like 2 seasons already, or a season already. It got canceled hours before its season premiere was set to air.
Oh, Jesus.
Full Frontal with Samantha Bee.
Wait, what?
Yup, canceled. I loved Samantha Bee. I'm so mad.
That's not HBO Max.
No, it's TBS. But they own Warner Brothers.
They do own
It's all Warner Brothers.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
3 Busy Debras from Adult Swim. Joe Pera Talks With You from Adult Swim. Naomi from the CW, Legends of Tomorrow from the CW, Snowpiercer, TNT, during production on their 4th season.
Oh, I didn't know about that either.
The Wonder Twins film, shortly after the leads were announced.
That was a dumb movie, but yeah, I get it,
Scoob Holiday Haunt, which was reportedly all but finished, and now Batgirl. So they're just...
It's a bigger bloodbath than I realized.
Why Sam B? She's the only female in late night. Like, what the hell?
What the hell does she do to you? Like, leave her alone on TBS.
Right, TBS. Who cares?
What the
TBS.
fuck, guys? Here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that they're going to turn Warner Bros. Into just a movie studio, and their TV is all going to be reality shows.
And what about, weren't they talking about an Animaniacs reboot?
That's already out.
Is it?
Now,
okay.
whether they cancel it or not, I don't know. But it's got 2 seasons.
Yeah, there's another thing.
I don't know, guys.
Yeah, I don't know how, I mean, if we keep going, it's just going to be us ranting.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say last is supposedly they're breaking DC off into their own DC films versus just a part of Warner Brothers. Again, that won't solve anything unless you have somebody that's going to care about it and is really in charge, like a Feige or something, because otherwise it's just...
Someone who actually has a vision. Because, like you said, I've got a 10-year vision. Okay, give us the first year. Mm-hmm. He can't. There's no titles announced. He doesn't have a starting point.
How about a plan? Maybe, I'm not saying that you should do this, but maybe in this circumstance, an outline plan. Like, wait, look at what Feige does. He at least makes an announcement and goes, we're going to go this, and they tell the audience where it's going. Mm-hmm. One of the frustrations with Phase 4 was we didn't know where it was going. I didn't care. I was enjoying all of it.
I was just going to watch it anyway.
I knew it was a reboot. They finished the storyline, and now it's a whole new thing.
It's a whole new thing.
Basically,
Phase 4 was Phase 1 over again.
Over again. So you got to establish all these new characters. You got to establish all these things. Plus, you've made it for over 10 years. Now you can do weirder things and branch out, take more chances. That's what you do. Let's end it on this, because I know we've been ranting a while. Right. Hopefully you guys are as passionate about this as we are. But Leslie Grace is the biggest victim in all of this. This poor girl who apparently did a stunning performance in the Heights, and I haven't seen it. My bad, but so they nabbed her immediately and gave her this role, this part that she didn't care if it was a CW show or whatever. It was Batgirl.
She went and visited kids in costume, and they were so excited, you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
not only do you have Batgirl representation as a female hero, but as
a Latina
hero, and in this broader universe with Michael Keaton, this would have blown. You know what they said? Well, we'll hire her for something else.
I don't believe
We're
you.
going to put her in something else.
I don't believe
She'll
you.
be fine. Are you, though? And is that new movie
And why
gonna
would she trust you?
Right. And that's a very good point. And also, is it going to be Batgirl big? Are you going to give her Wonder Woman? Are you going to give her something that's meaningful? Or are you going to give her...
side character.
Here's a little comedy movie we're going to put you in or something.
Romantic
no
comedy.
one's going to remember.
Yeah.
I feel bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fair. It's not fair to her that you never gets released. Do you realize that even if a movie is bad, she could have had a good performance in it that could have helped her career still?
And kids, she was already, like I said, meeting with kids in costume and, bringing joy to kids as this character. It's absolutely ridiculous what they did. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And for them to, if they do it as a tax write-off, the way I understand it, they can never
show
ever release this movie. So if somebody works at Warner Bros. And you have a thumb drive... Fantastic Four, that shit. Put it in the Comic-Cons. Everybody will buy
Release it on YouTube.
Yeah. Who cares
it.
if it looks like shit?
Chaotic good. Release it on YouTube.
And I think with that,
Yep, we're out.
We'll call it a day, and we'll shut up now.
Check us out. Monday we'll be back here with our Horrorland news. That's just strictly about horror. We may have a review for Bullet Train up this weekend sometime. We're planning to see that.
Or Bodies, no, that's next week.
Yep.
Damn it. Never mind.
Yep.
We thought Bodies was going to come out this weekend, and then all of a sudden
apparently it did everywhere else but here.
Yep.
So,
and we're literally at the movie, looking at our movie app, and then it goes, it says it opens the 5th, click on it, 11th. Huh? But that's what we got. So, and we are going to have some James Wan news, speaking of Aquaman, on the horror show. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys. I think we've taken enough of your ear today.
Yep. Please like and subscribe. Ring the bell.
And let us know, do you like pop culture show? Do you want us to just focus on horror? Because if that's our audience, then that's our audience. But we're trying new things. Please let us know if you like this and give us your feedback on what you think.
And if you like pop culture, if you know of a pop culture story you'd like us to investigate and cover, let us know in the comments.
Let us know. Because we love pop culture, guys. We've always said that on our show. She says that at the end of every Slasher Advocate. We love pop culture. We could talk about this for hours. So let us know what you think. And we'll see you. For now, we'll see you next week.
All right. Have a good night. Goodbye.
Bye.